Hello, dear respected colleagues. It's my pleasure welcoming you to this 8th webinar in the series of the webinars organized by our network, an initiative that is aimed at raising awareness on sustainable management of salt-affected soils for food security. We have today a very dense webinar with several participants that I will briefly present to you. First of them, that is Professor Dr. João Pereira Domingues Martinho from the Agricultural School and Cernas Research Center Polytechnic Institute of Viseu, Portugal. Vitor, you are welcome. Next speaker will be Professor Iskender Güle, Department of Biology, Burdur Mehmet Akif Ersoy University of Turkey. Professor Iskender, you are welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Third speaker will be Professor Dr. Yanis Panagopoulos, Department of Hydraulics, Soil Science and Agricultural Engineering, School of Agriculture, Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, Greece. Dr. Yanis, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fourth speaker will be Dr. Zenepe Dafku, Faculty of Economy and Agribusiness, Agricultural University of Tirana, Albania. Dr. Zenepe, you are welcome.
Thank you.
These 4 speakers will deliver their lecture and comments in 15 minutes each. And after that, this will follow a roundtable with the following experts that will be moderated by our Vice Chair, Katarina Negasp, Dr. Katarina Negasp, Institute of Vrije University in Amsterdam. These participants in the roundtable will be Joé Macario Correia, Associação de Regantes do Sotavento Algarvio, Portugal. Joé, José, you are welcome. Tiago Brito Ramos, Baretec, Instituto Superior Técnico, Universidade de Lisboa, Portugal. Dr. Tiago, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Dr. Nadia Bazzigina, Dipartimento di Biologia, Università degli Studi di Firenze, Italy. Dr. Nadia, you are welcome. Dr. Aysegül Akpinar, Department of Park and Garden, Vocation School of Technical Science Plants, Bursa Uludağ University, Turkey. Dr. Aysegül, you are welcome. And after finishing this roundtable, our coordinator in FAO, Dr. Maria Kuniskova, will make a report of the roundtable. So now this webinar, that is a webinar organized by the network in collaboration with the Action COST Sustain. It has most of the speakers are very active in both activities, and then so I will introduce to the first speaker, Professor Dr. João Pereira, that will deliver his lecture on soil salinity in Portugal views from Portuguese local authorities. Dr. Victor João, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Horst. I will share my, sorry. I think now is okay. Is in the presentation mode or not?
Yes, yes.
All fine.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, George. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with you. I would like to start by greeting everyone present and thanking them for their presence and thanking INSAS and FAO, namely the chairs of INSAS, Horst Balsals, and Maria Koniuskova for her excellent collaboration in organizing this webinar, which is part of the work plan of Working Group 5 of COST Action, with the title Sustainable Use of Salt-Affected Lands. These times are in fact challenging on several levels, and one of the challenges we have to face in the present and near future is the quality and health of the soil as a potentially limiting factor in food production capacity and as a carbon sink. Climate change and the consequent global warming have brought several threats for the functional conditions of soils and water quality, namely due to increased salinity. Portugal, because its geographic location is particularly affected by these new contexts, namely in the south of the country. The aim of my presentation, knowledge of the context of soil salinity in Portugal. Some authors have already written about these dynamics in Portugal, but the perspective here, and my perspective here, is to highlight the scientific dimensions and divisions of local agents, stakeholders, and researchers on these themes. For example, you can see here that there are not many scientific contributions on these topics in Portugal. Also, concern about soil salinization in the Portuguese context has been around for decades. For example, you can see here the first documents come from 1982. A relevant number of papers of scientific documents were published in the journal Agricultural Water Management for papers showing that one of the main concerns has been around water, in fact, in Portugal. Indeed, what has worried Portugal in the recent decades has been the scarcity of water and its consequence for agriculture and living conditions of the populations, namely in the south of the country. Some of the most relevant authors have been Maria Conceição Gonçalves, Tiago Brito Ramos, who will be that he's here with has and will be at the round table of this webinar today, and Nadia Castanheira. Maria Conceição Gonçalves and Nadia Castanheira are from the National Institute for Agriculture and Veterinary Research. Is an organism for the scientific research in the agriculture fields from the Ministry of Agriculture, Portuguese Ministry of Agriculture. A significant part of this author's production revolved around 2019 and 2020. It was the period and years for the great number of publications from these authors. And the most relevant affiliations are Portuguese, are from the Portuguese Academy and Portuguese organism, namely from the National Institute of Agriculture and Veterinary Research, the University of Lisbon, University of Aveiro, University of Évora, but there is also the University of Extremadura, Spain. The contributions for the scientific production on these themes for the context in Portugal also come from some co-authors from Australia, United States, and Brazil, for example. The works in which Tiago Brito Ramos appears as the first author are among the most cited documents, And we have here the paper from Tiago with 172 citations. The most here in this word cloud, we can see the most frequent expressions are electrical conductivity and irrigation, namely these two expressions. But there are other keywords, if you want, that appear in these documents, are frequent or are the most frequent in these documents, and is in fact. For example, climate change, solute transport, water quality, leaching, Mediterranean region, soil amendments, agriculture, and organic carbon are, for example, other keywords or other expressions that appear in these scientific documents. And here in these trend topics pictured, we can see electrical conductivity, irrigation, and solute transport are old topics, are topics that disappeared in the most recent years. And salinization, salinity, and climate change are, in fact, emerging topics in these domains. Here, from this thematic map, we can see irrigation, salinization, water quality, and climate change are important topics and well-developed topics. This is in the motor themes, is in the right upper side of the thematic map. In the right bottom side of the map, we can see application. I think, sorry, I have here some, okay. And we can see application of fertilizer, Mediterranean region, and electrical conductivity are basic themes, are also important topics, but still need to be better developed. And in the left side, in the bottom, we see, for example, agriculture productions and agricultural productivity are emerging or declining topics, maybe are, I think, more declining topics than the emerging topics. This is only my opinion for now. And in the upper left side niche themes, we see topics related with water and soil pollution and the digital transition are still very specific and niche topics, and this is, for example, a point that could be explored in future research. Okay. Yeah. Here in this, the most important in the factorial analysis, the most important topics are or expressions are those are in the interception of the two axes. And here in that point, we can see irrigation systems and electrical conductivity are, for example, these and remote sensing are some expressions or some topics are central, are important for the research done in these topics, soil salinity, and for Portugal. And here is some information and to exchange views on soil salinity issues in Portugal. Local agents, stakeholders, and Portuguese researchers were contacted, belonging in particular to the following organizations: Portuguese Farmers Confederations, institutions of the Portuguese Ministry of Agriculture, irrigators associations, companies, and universities. and their opinions and the opinions of these actions and stakeholders and companies contacted are these the proposal for a European Union directive on soil monitoring and resilience address the issues of soil salinity very little. I think soil salinization appears a very reducing number of times. The major concern with soil salinity in the south is in the south of the country, due to the shortage of water, which increase the concentration of salts in the soil and irrigation water. In practice, the idea there is no identification of problems, the monitoring network is inadequate, and there is a complete absence of more effective methods to manage soil salinization. The LUCAS platform is constrained due to the fact that is only included sample from the first 20 centimeters of the soil and has no data on soil management. If there has been irregularities with irrigation, for example, with variations in values from one reading to the next without a proper explanation, and the sampling and methodologies are traditional and not sufficient. So this is my contribution for you about these questions, about the perspective about the research in Portugal about soil salinization and the opinions from the local agency stakeholders and researchers on these topics. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Victor Joao. And next speaker is Professor Iskender Güle with the topic an overview of dry and salinization problems in the wetlands of the Lakes district in Turkey. So, Professor Iskender Güle, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I talk about inland wetlands, dry and salinization about in Turkey. In my topic, an overview of drying and salinization problems in the wetland of the Lakes district in Turkey, where the Mediterranean climate prevails, causes and consequences. Inland waters are the most endangered ecosystem in the world. Excuse me. Okay. Less than 1/5 of the world's pre-industrial freshwater wetlands remain, projected to decline to under the 1/10 of the mid-century. In the last century, only about 100 of the more than 300 wetlands in Turkey have survived. Lake District region, you can see Lake District region is located the southwest of Turkey. This area of this region is about 25,000 square kilometer carre. Of the 25 lakes here, 15 have completely dried up. Almost all the remaining ones are shrinking. This region climate, summers are hot and dry, winters are lightly rained. Annual precipitation 400 to 700 millimeter a year. In other words, it's semi-arid region and 1,000 meter altitude sea level. This region includes many freshwater, brackish water, and saltwater lakes. Of the 24 wetlands here, only 10 remain. What was the reason for this? Anthropogenic activities or climate impact? In the past Some of these were destroyed intentionally, while others were vanished hydrologically intervention and changing climate condition. In the Mediterranean region, 70% of the wetlands have disappeared in last 50 years. The Mediterranean region is warming 20% faster than global average, and precipitation will reduce by minus 30%. You see. Turkey climate, Turkey mean temperature, blue line. World mean temperature is red line. The last 10 years have been the hottest decade on Earth. The value measured in Turkey in 2024 was even above the world average. Rainfall will decrease it by up to 40%. The hottest years, hottest summer, hottest years of Turkey. Turkey climate is generally arid and semi-arid climate. Especially Central Anatolia is here, is very dry. Central Anatolia has the largest, second largest salt lake of Turkey, Tuz Gölü. In this area, many salt lake and many freshwater lake. This area is Lake District region, Burdur, Isparta, near Antalya. Lake District region have many freshwater, saltwater, brackish water lake, and many playa lakes. These lakes, Burdur Lake, Acıgöl Lake, Akgöl Lake, and Yarışı Lake. You can see lake, a huge amount of lake is dried up. For example, one sheet of the lake in Central Anatolia, we see Akgöl and Ereğli reed beds completely dried, and we see Hotamış reed beds and completely dried, and Turkey's second largest salt lakes completely dried. These disappearing lakes left behind a large amount of salty and alkaline soil. There is a Turkish proverb, a lake is formed drop by drop. But nowadays, this situation is reversed, is no longer drips. So, quantity has surpassed quality. Only water, but not clear, clean, or dirty. We know all. Aral Lake or Aral Sea is a big tragedy. Same tragedy is live in Burdur province. Aral Lake, 1970s to today. Burdur Lake in today. Burdur Lake, a candidate to become a small Aral Lake. Maybe you see 1984, 2024, a big change. In recent years, Burdur Lake level very rapidly changed. Only 50 years, lake surface area and volume has been 50%, has been lost 50%. How did we get to today? You see Burdur Lake underwater, recent times, desert. The increasingly shrinking lake levels behind a lot of barren salty and alkaline soil. Also a big problem, dust storms forming a dry lake bed. We can see dust storms and salt storms, especially spring and fall season. These dust storms threat to municipality people. Okay, so why are lakes shrinking? Is the drying of the lake caused by climate change or anthropogenic effect? We can see here lake level, blue line, precipitation, and lake level. The decline until 2010 was due to human influence, but after this date, it was due to both excessive water abstraction and lack of rainfall. Burdur Lake shrinking process. As dams are built and water levels drop. In Burdur Lake Basin, approximately 30 dams and ponds have cut off almost surface flows. This structure hold up to 200 million cubic meters of water every year. And every year the take gives a negative budget of 65 million cubic meter. On today, the lake level is very dropping by 50 to 60 centimeter every year. Many dams constructed last 50 years. In last 10 years, all surface runoff has disappeared. All spring, all river, all stream has been lost. There are dozens of dry up stream beds. We can see Burdur Lake level, blue line. We see here dams construction and water volume. Dams and reservoirs cut off all surface flow. We see that the lake loses water as dams are built. Also, another reason for drying, underground water excess abstraction. 10,000 artesian in lower basin and 30,000 artesian in entire lake basin. As a result, the water table rapidly dropped and springs dry up. We can see numerous water wells, symbolized colored, pointed colored dots. About 80,000 are seen here. Only 80,000 are seen here. We can see artesian borehole, many artesian borehole in everywhere for farming irrigation. This level in last 50 years, minus 21 meter dropped. Very tragic. Where is the water? Or cart or livestock? Or cart or livestock in entire basin, basic economic activities. 20 years ago, we are only talking about quality water. Today, we are talking about quantity because we don't have water. A general example, Burdur Lake sub-basin crop pattern. We can see solid line shows animals numbers and columns shows different product. attention, maize and alfalfa production, very rapidly from 2010. We can see maize and alfalfa production. As a traditional small livestock production has been replaced by cultured large cattle breeding. The pressure on water resource has increased. For this reason, animals increase, forage production increase, animal increase, forage reduction increase. Evet. Where is the water? The cow drank it. Our choices determine our future in Burdur province. We can see very dry land, irrigation pipe, and we raise maize for silage, intensive maize farming in Lake Basin for silaging. There is a big dilemma. The climate is dry, but farming is bad. Everywhere is changing so fast. Very tragic. Karataş Lake in Burdur Basin, completely dry 2020. We can see carp in 2020. Here, ship in same lake. Here, ship in 2022. Another example, Akgöl in Lake District region, waterfowl, flamingos are here, and lake dry, and grazing area, turned grazing area. Evet. This is not the Sahara Desert, but Lake Burdur. Burdur Lake is also a Ramsar Site area. Soil salinization is well known in coastal areas, but inland areas have not been yet assessed and monitored. Secondary soil salinization problem is about 80 million hectare in arid and semi-arid region in the world. As the salt lake dries up, intensively salt and barren soils remains. That is unstable plant growth. Excuse me.
Excuse me, Dr. Iskender. It is on sake of the rest of the speakers.
Okay.
You have to please finish in 2 minutes.
Okay. 5 dakika. A big problem, secondary soil salinization. Especially inland salt lake drying, inland area soil salinization, or lake residual soil salinization. We would like to recall the example of Aral Sea. There are many small Aral Sea examples in Turkey, especially Central Anatolia and Lake District region. We can see Burdur Lake remains salty area. Evet, this area extremely salty, severely salty, highly salty. And salty area in Turkey, 2,080 million hectare. There are 300 halophytic taxa in this salty area living. Potential benefits of halophytes: animal food, human food, shelter for animals, ecosystem services, resistance to harsh conditions, erosion control, resilience to climate change, and soil remediation and improvement. So, now and future the saline ecosystem. We have a Prima project. We have 6 country partner: Tunisia, Turkey, Greece, Italy, France, and Spain. We research salinization in this area. Climate change, salinization, soil, water, aridity, and resize. Evet.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for, but it's a lot of speakers and time is limited. I invite you to share in the chat the link for
Okay.
your project, and later in the roundtable maybe there is the opportunity to make additional comments. Thank you very much, Professor Iskender Güle, for your interesting and dramatic report. So
Thank you.
next speaker is Professor Yanis Panagopoulos, that will develop the topic soil salinization in agricultural soils of Greece, implications and recommendations for actions. So Professor Yanis, the floor is yours, and you have 15 minutes.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. Do you see my screen here? My presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the invitation, first of all, and for being here. I'm a professor here, and I teach the subject of salinity, but to be honest, I have not been involved in any salinity project so far. I would like to, of course. So my presentation will be more general than the previous two. I will try to summarize the situation in Greece to give you an overview about soil salinization, which is, of course, a hot topic for the Greek environmental agenda, of course. So I will try to give a comprehensive overview of the issue and provide some possible solutions. The most realistic, all of us, I think that we know about solutions that are reported in the literature, but we will try to focus. I try to focus on the most realistic, what is really needed for the country, and we'll try to communicate it to you, of course. So the soil salinity is the accumulation of soluble salts, of course, in the soil, and is measured as electrical conductivity. The threshold of 4 decisiemens per meter usually indicates salinity problems. So the two types of salinity, as we all know, are the primary and the secondary. The primary is the natural, let's say, mechanisms that cause salinity from the salts are developed from because of natural processes, including transport from parent material and geological processes. But we will focus and we care more about the secondary salinization, which is caused by human interventions, mainly from the irrigation with saline water and other non-suitable irrigation practices, which are combined with poor or no soil drainage. Actually, these last words, the last 3 words, poor or no soil drainage, is something very important for the country, for Greece, because there is absence actually of drainage, where I will talk more later during my presentation. So the agricultural sector in Greece is a very critical part of the economy. To give you an idea, 1/4 of the total Greek area is under cultivation, and half of it is irrigated because of the climate is arid or semi-arid. And during the summer period, the dry period, the only way to cultivate is to find water and apply water to the crops. So soil salinity is prevalent in coastal areas and river deltas, but also in regions with intensive agriculture, which are located in the inland, actually, not only close to the sea. It has been estimated that from the 1.4 million hectares of irrigated land in Greece, 9% is affected by seawater intrusion, which is a high percentage, of course. But in general, arid irrigated lands are prominent salinization hotspots in the country because of 2 reasons. The first is the climate, little rainfall during the dry period, and adverse evapotranspiration rates, high evapotranspiration rates that enhance salt accumulation in the soil. And the second reason is the soil characteristics. There are many soil types around the country that restrain salt leaching. Okay, restrain salt leaching. So the causes of soil salinization in Greece are more or less common with the causes from in all other Mediterranean countries. The use of low quality water source for irrigation is the most important, I could say. We talked about climate, hot and dry irrigation period with increased evapotranspiration. Climate change is an issue that enhances the hot and dry irrigation period. It has been reported that it has made them drier. It has made the conditions in Greece drier during summer. So this, of course, helps salt accumulation because it increases evapotranspiration. Of course, there are water shortages and water scarcity, which means that we don't have enough water to apply excess irrigation in order to help salt leaching, to trigger salt leaching. But a very important issue is the no drainage systems, organized drainage systems, I mean, here. Or they are poor wherever wherever drainage systems exist. They are actually poor. They have problems. There are some open ditches which need maintenance and a lot of work to become of optimum operation, let's say. And the seawater intrusion, of course, is something very important for the aquifers, which provide salt water in these areas for irrigation, and of course enhance the problem of salinization. So in this map that was acquired from the Global Soil Partnership of Food of FAO, this was created within this within the Global Soil Partnership. You can all see the areas in Greece that have been reported of high salinization. We have rather moderate but important, but of considerable importance for salinization. So moderate salinity in the north and in the central part of the country. We have rather stronger salinization problems in Peloponnese, in the south in general. The main crops affected are olives, orchard trees, cotton, grapes, and many, many others, of course. And the key areas affected that have been studied, because I try to make a literature review these days, and I found that the areas that have been reported, that the issue of soil salinization has been investigated, are Thessaly, which is in the center of the country here, Crete. There are many local areas with salinization studies, Central Macedonia, of course, the Evros Delta here, and there are individual islands. You can see here Naxos, Paros, Lesvos, Chios, in the Ionian Sea as well, some individual islands, and there are many, many areas around the Peloponnese. Many areas, actually, the whole Peloponnese is affected from soil salinization, and there are seawater intrusion issues mainly around the Peloponnese. This map, which is obtained, of course, from a published article, shows the seawater intrusion problem in Greece on the left, and the map of Crete with the major problems, the locations with big issues of seawater intrusion. Just to notice that. So almost the whole country is affected by seawater intrusion. This is my understanding, actually, and what we want to show here by showing the map on the left. So what are the implications for agriculture? I don't want to to say a lot of details here because these are known issues. First of all, crop yields are declined, and the productivity is declined in general. The soil is deteriorated with respect to its structure and fertility, of course. And it has been found that the effects may be long-term on the productivity. The economic losses are huge, many times. There are areas in Greece at the local level that economic losses have been reported to be extremely high because of soil salinity. It's impossible to irrigate, actually, at the very local level. And there are other environmental consequences, of course, like biodiversity, the loss of biodiversity, the loss of sensitive plant species and animal species. And this situation in general contributes to desertification. So there are areas at the local level that have been reported to become desertified and totally abundant at some point because of no water, of the absence of water of good quality water. So the solutions in general are to use salt-tolerant crop varieties. However, this is not very realistic. It's a common type of solution, but it's not very realistic. It's not possible. There are some socioeconomic issues, as we understand here. So it's not that easy to convince farmers to change their crop systems. Actually, from an economic point of view, and because of the subsidies from the EU, this is not, let's say, this is not allowed, actually. So other solutions could be to follow organic farming practices, to use calcium to leach out exchangeable sodium, to use freshwater transport for irrigation. Okay, in theory, because in practice, this is not very realistic as well. In Greece, it's not that easy to find fresh water. It's an issue, as always. Other measures, such as desalination, for example, of irrigation water, are very expensive. It's a modern technique, of course. It can be a modern technique, but it's expensive. And something very important, which needs money as well, is to improve the drainage systems to prevent salt accumulation. So if we can't change our water, if we cannot change our crop types, at least it's good to be able to drain the leaching water, the leaching salts from the soil. This needs surface drainage canals or underground drainage pipe networks. I will talk a bit more at the end of my presentation. I would like here to list the general policy recommendations known for this issue. The government intervention is to provide subsidies for sustainable practices, to educate and train farmers on salinity management, to encourage research and development in agricultural practices, and of course, to set up new water management policies to reduce overuse and prevent contamination. So what about Greece in particular? In Greece, from my review, from my search in these days, I think that there is not a very, let's say, organized effort, but there are many individual efforts in the past. For example, there is a sustainable water management effort with the country having promoted the efficient use of water resources and try to convince farmers to implement modern irrigation techniques. Also, there are suggestions to follow crop rotations, to use soil amendments and management practices. Universities, institutions, and agricultural organizations have worked together a lot to find solutions, including the breeding of salt-tolerant crop varieties, but also to develop salinity-resistant practices. Of course, we have the agro-environmental schemes of the European Union, which include, among others, the environmental friendly agricultural practices, which incorporate practices for preventing soil salinization. Public awareness and education efforts also have been done, and the monitoring and policy implementation, of course, which is driven by the Greek Ministry of Rural Development and Food, which is also something promising in general. So I list here, I would like to be quick now because my time ends, as I see. So the three major projects, scientific projects that have been conducted in the past, within the last decade, not very far in the past, are the SOS, soil sustainability, as you can see in North Greece, where a soil action plan was developed. The SAS water is also very important, which was an Interreg project, and many strategies have been developed in the northwestern part of Greece. And the RECARE project, an FP7 program with a case study from Greece in Crete, where the novelty here was that there was a participatory approach followed, and farmers were being involved in the suggestions provided for soil salinity amelioration, and they assessed various management strategies. So here, excuse me, I went back. Legal measures, there are some laws and ministerial decisions. I would like to draw your attention to the second, which is the Code of Good Agricultural Practices. In general, when we recommend good agricultural practices to the farmers, we include, among others, soil salinization is part of these practices, soil salinization, and there are, of course, other laws. And to conclude, there are 4 pillars for recommendations for actions in the country. From our work here, we think that there are 4 pillars. The first is to implement laws and ministerial decisions, to check that there is compliance, to check for compliance, to avoid delays in good farming practices implementation, to enhance rational irrigation in coastal areas, for example, to stop illegal boreholes all around the country, the coastal area, which is something very important. So the first pillar is to be sure that laws and ministerial decisions are implemented. This is very important. The second is to improve the soil drainage systems, to maintain surface drainage systems. You see some of them on the photos here on the slide. Of course, this needs some economic resources. And the second would be in the plains, in some local areas, to develop subsurface tile drainage, if possible. And I finish with the last 2 pillars. The third is the continuous monitoring. It's important to assess regularly the soil and water conditions of the country. And finally, above all, I could say, to collaborate, to ensure that the collaboration between government, farmers, and scientists exists with the purpose to protect the future of Greek agriculture. And soil salinization, of course, is, among others, a very important environmental issue that belongs here to this collaboration. So thank you very much for your attention, and sorry for a few minutes more that I used. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Yannis Panagopoulos.
Panagopoulos.
Yes, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, next speaker will be Professor Zenepe Dafku, that will present economic values or the evaluation of ecosystem services in salt-affected lands. Insights from Albania. Professor Zenepe Dafku, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Today I will present briefly insights from Albania, especially from the case study of Albania related to the evaluation of ecosystem services in salt-affected land. Why this topic is important? Because we know that salt land degradation poses a significant challenges for agriculture productivity worldwide. Also, it's in Albania, especially wetlands and coastal zones, because in those areas we have more salt land. They are not just landscape, but they can serve as essential ecosystem that support food production, clean water supply, and biodiversity. And also, they can be a good opportunity for ecotourism. Also, if we implement some effective conservation and restoration strategies that require active engagement from key stakeholders, including farmers, fishermen, and local communities that are key players, we can implement those effective strategies and to have a better situation. But we need also to understand their perspectives and to integrate their knowledge into those strategies. Also, one promising approach, it's a biosaline agriculture that leverage salt-tolerant crops to mitigate and to adverse effect of soil salinization. And last but not least, wetlands are not only ecological assets, but also have cultural heritage, tourism, community well-being, etc. Salt-affected lands actually are often seen as degraded and unproductive areas, but they actually provide some ecosystem services that are important for nature and well-being of human, not just in local level, but also in national and international level. Those ecosystem services that are classified by Millennium of Ecosystem Assessment that we have presented, we will present briefly. We have provisioning, regulating, cultural, and supporting services that we can obtain from those lands. National soil classification of Albania, as you can see in the map, we have different soil this different type soil in Albania, and about the saline land, it's in percentage, we have 1.54% of land, saline land, that it's more focused in coastal area, especially in here and Vlora, and so it's more focused in those areas. Some data related to the challenging soil condition, as you can see. And also, as you can see in this pie chart, we have Solonchak's 0.4%. Those areas, those lands actually are considered as threats, but in those areas we can find some opportunities for such as crop innovation and salt-tolerant varieties, sustainable agriculture, like agroecological farming practice that can turn those areas into productive zones through careful soil and water management, also to use inefficient irrigation system like drip irrigation to reduce salt accumulation and to conserve water. Also, we have we can obtain some economic benefits, like a large-scale agriculture investment, create opportunity for employment and economic growth in those regions, and to create some initiatives related to the agritourism. Also, we have the other aspect that's related to the environmental restoration. The reclamation of salt-affected land can help to restore ecosystem balance and to support biodiversity and improve land productivity. And to implement environmentally friendly practice like organic farming contribution to long-term soil health and conservation. My case study is a national park in Albania. It's, as you can see in the map, is situated here. It's a national park. Also, in this national park, we have a part of the area is a saline area. And here I will present actually a best practice from this area. Just some briefly some information related to this area. It's an important area, actually, not just locally, national, but international, because it's also a Ramsar zone. Here we have a lagoon, we have a wetland, and also it's an important zone for the water birds. We have pelican and the other birds here. As we know that national parks are divided in different subzones for better management and the administration. I'm not going into details. Main resources of income in this area for the local communities comes from agriculture activities and farming. And as you can see, also the land use, the 63% of the land is agriculture. So the other source of income for local communities in this area is livestock raising, like cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, and horses. Also, we have from fishing. This wetland serves as an important area for fish for local communities and tourism. We have actually this park is mostly visited even from the national or international tourists during the year. Here you can see, following the presentation of the colleague from Greece, actually the problems, it's quite, let's say, similar in Albania also for the saline land. Here I had presented some maps related to the use of chemical and organic. Here we have organic fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, and use of pesticides. As you can see in the map, we have a lot of use of pesticides and chemical fertilizers, and especially near to, as you can see, they are also near to the lagoon. Before going to present to you the good practice from Diviaka, allow me to say some words related to the different methods of evaluation of ecosystem services. In literature, we have different methods, but in my case study, I have used contingent valuation method that is more appropriate for the countries. Albania is a developing country. The contingent valuation methods consist on the you ask the respondents about the willingness to pay for the ecosystem services conservation or preservation. Now I will present you the good practice that is from this area. As you can see here in the map, here you can see the location of this farm. It's a farm with pomegranate and goji berries. And it's an investment actually in total in saline area. So here, as you can see in the map, this area is totally saline area that we have this farm. This farmer has this area. It's about 250 hectares with pomegranate, as you can see here in the picture. The cultivation of pomegranate and goji berry, but it's mostly cultivated with pomegranate. Which are the, let's say, socioeconomic benefits of this farm? We have employment in employment aspects and agritourism. Employment, this farm has employed 30 employees in full times, seasonal workers, and future potential. just to be on time, we have also the agrotourism opportunities, because this farm has a plan to create also the agrotourism as such as guest house, etc. Also, we have environmental benefits. This farm has some environmental benefits in terms of reduction of soil salinity, as they are using innovative irrigation and drainage systems. They are using also a reservoir with the 2050 meter cube capacity to ensure efficient irrigation, and also to minimize water waste through drip irrigation system. Also, they applied organic fertilizer to improve soil health and long-term fertility, and agrotourism initiatives to encourage the preservation of local biodiversity. So, in this aspect, this area is, let's say, it's a good practice, and actually the producer has produced those, especially pomegranate, and they export it especially in Europe countries such as UK, but they face some problems related to the cultivation of pomegranate, and they are doing the studies to apply and to plant olives on the other surface, because the total surface of this it's around 1,100 hectares of agricultural land. Yeah, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your kind presentation. And now it is my pleasure to transfer the coordination of the meeting to our Vice Chair, Professor Katerina Negas, that is as well the Chair of the Action COST that most of you are members of. So Catherine, Kate, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jorge. Can you hear me well?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. We will be now moving to our roundtable, and I would like to introduce our participants. We have José Maria Macario Correia from Portugal. We also have Tiago Brito Ramos from Portugal. We have Nadia Bazihizina from Italy. And we also have Aysegul Akpinar from Turkey. I hope I pronounced your names correctly. And I would like to start with a few overarching questions that we have. We don't have that much time for our roundtable, but I hope we can have a nice and lively discussion. My first question would be related to the common challenges that we see in the Mediterranean region. So I would like to ask our roundtable participants, what are the common challenges in the Mediterranean region where you see possibilities for collaboration among the countries? And to start our discussion, I would like invite Mr. José Macario Correia to share with us his perspective.
I think he is not with us so far. I think he's maintain the profile here, but he's not present.
Okay, I see his name, but I was not sure if he would appear. Well, then I would move to Mr. Tiago Brito Ramos that I've seen here.
I'm here, yes.
Yeah, perfect.
So, about the common challenges of salinization in the European region. Well, I was watching the presentation of the colleague from Albania. You know, in Portugal, our soil salinity studies started long ago in the 1970s with the characterization of marshland areas, exactly for conversion to agricultural production, like the colleague was showing. But that idea was dropped soon after, because it's like this. And only recently, soil salinization has started becoming seen like a soil threat and considered the land degradation process. Before it was just well, an inconvenient. But with this, but since the study started long ago, we accumulated a considerable degree of knowledge on this thematic, and we have areas affected by primary salinization, like those marshlands that we are not. It's not an immediate concern. Some are used for agricultural production, but for rice production, because you flood the area and it's easy to manage the salts. It's just an issue of agricultural water management. We are more concerned about the issues of secondary salinization that have been occurring in areas, in irrigated areas in south of Portugal. And these are, well, the main reasons, and what has shown the perspective, it's the climate has become more arid. Irrigation areas also have expanded to soils that have deficient drainage issues. So our main problems that we have seen, that we have soil salinization issues that are site-specific, and it's not easy to identify those areas. So we need solutions, technologies to properly identify those areas in a cost-effective way and rapidly. We have been trying to use proximal and remote sensing technologies, but there are still some issues. Those technologies are perfect for our marshland areas because salinity levels are so high that they are easy to follow. But when they are site-specific and not so high, it's difficult to distinguish from other soil properties. These are the main challenges of at least that we have in Portugal.
Thank you very much for your contribution. This is indeed a very important topic and insights from Portugal. And I would like now to ask Ms. Nadia Bazihizina to share her perspective from the Italian approach. What are the most common challenges that you see in the Mediterranean region, also taking into account what Mr. Tiago Brito Ramos has just outlined to us?
Yes, thank you, Kate. It's been a pleasure to participate and hear all the presentations. And I think what I can see is definitely water seems to be, to me, a common thread, the red thread. And if perhaps understanding how to manage water, that could help also the management of saline regions. Because here in Italy, at least talking with some farmers in the coast, they were like, before at least we had saline water, now we don't have even the saline water. So I think the management, the selection of the correct crops could be helpful to understand or avoid the issue of salinity and water scarcity together. I see them linked with each other. And as well, talking to farmers, the changing crops and, the shift in, that is another big, of course, it requires a lot of support, I think, also from a policy level. I think they need support if we need to shift to better crops and also identification, say, they might think they might have an issue with salinity, as Tiago said as well, but again, picking up the issue early on and then trying to manage it and mitigating it, that is a critical process. But definitely, I think there is a lot of preoccupation from the state, like farmers, farming communities and all the people. It is a big issue, but I think they are trying to understand how to do it as well, like the process of, training, providing all the knowledge that is needed as well. So definitely to me is that the support from a political level as well for all of these activities.
Thank you very much for sharing this perspective. So here, next to identification and mapping, we're also adding water perspective, we're also adding plant perspective, and bringing as well the policy level, common policy taking into account the different frameworks and instruments, but also farmers who are dealing with the salinity on a daily basis. And I'm just checking if our fourth discussant is here, Mr. Aysegul, but I'm afraid that I don't see him currently in the meeting. So I will move to my second question, which actually relates very much to what you have already mentioned, so the policies, and namely policy recommendations. So if you were to pick one policy recommendation for the region, and we have heard quite a few during the presentations today, what would it be? What would be the golden policy recommendation advice that you would focus on?
I can. About policy, I think for most of you in the European Union may be aware of the soil monitoring and resilience directive that is to be implemented, and this will require the building a effective network of for monitoring soil issues like soil salinity. What I can say is that what we have now is hardly effective for this issue. Soil monitoring in Europe relies on the Lucas soil survey, which is for soil salinity is not well designed, and because the issues are limited to monitoring is limited to the first centimeters layer, and what we see in the field is that soil salinity aggravates is in the bottom layers first, and so we need first to have to know better our soils, how they work, how they function, to create then the policy that we need.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that and the insights that you collected here. And Nadia, perhaps your perspective as well?
Yes, yeah, this is a good point. Soil monitoring is very, very important. And as well, I think policy on water management. And I think this is a critical issue here in Italy because it becomes also a contention point. And for irrigation, there's different needs that need to be matched. But that perhaps could be something like improving that and I guess matching that with, and maybe having some policy, I don't know, but yeah, I think regarding water management, to me, that would be, seems to be a critical area that needs sustainable water management, to understand how to do that. That as well could be an additional aspect to consider.
Okay, thank you very much. So again, taking into account monitoring, water, perhaps also plants and agriculture. Very good points here for the future policy actions and policy advice. I'm also checking if our participants have questions that they would like to ask for this roundtable, but I don't currently see any related to our discussion.
Yes, Kate, sorry. Yes, it's in the responded because it's noted, so you can see it. Or I can read it out.
Okay, perhaps if you can read it out, that would be great because I have a lot of.
Yes, how do you see the funding level, the funds for research going on to develop new methods in order to mitigate soil salinity issues?
Thank you very much. So looking into funding opportunities and funding levels.
Sorry, the questions are the funding for mitigating the issue of salinity.
Funding potential, let's say.
Potential. Okay.
Yes.
I think there is, at least that's been a bit my, I've noticed in the last couple of years, there's been more interest towards the issue of salinity and water scarcity. That seems to be a hot topic at the moment here in Europe. So I think there could be definitely some potential. And I think as we'd often discussed with Kate and some other researchers, another interesting would be, a national board, something that at the level international, there's also a lot of interest. It would be nice to have funding to take as well the knowledge from other big research centers that worked on salinity for a long time, like for instance Australia, or we're talking about all the I guess, the ICBA, the Science Research Center, they have a lot of knowledge, and that would be nice to have some common funding that can merge all this together. Whereas I often find that they're a bit separated, the funding. So something that links these different centers and realities.
Thank you
And
very much.
also question was there were two parts. First, the financial potential, but also to the novelty. So develop something really new, because we need quite big funds to develop new approaches for the salinity mitigation. So is there any potential for such funding? How do you think?
Oh, that's the $1 million question, dollar question. Yes. I guess to me that the new thing. So first of all, I guess we need to understand if it's to try and limit this, like the process of salinization. So we're talking about, but that will have to need interaction with engineering. So like the seawater intrusion and all that. So that's one aspect, or maybe how to adapt to salinity. I think there is a lot of space there to understand how to do it sustainably. Adaptation that I think is, because maybe we cannot avoid seawater intrusion, for instance. Some things we cannot avoid them unless we go for major process that go and limit, for instance, seawater intrusion. But perhaps if we go understand how to adapt to it and how to adapt sustainably, trying to merge, the different areas. So the economic side, but the environmental side as well. So I think there could be a lot of new ideas that could come from there.
Thank you very much, Nadia, for these reflections. And now passing to Tiago to also his answer and view on that question. So perhaps just to repeat, how do we see the funding level for research going on to develop new methods in order to mitigate soil salinity issues? Tiago, what's your perspective on that?
Well, I cannot complain because I just had a project approved on these issues to identify, to develop or test different proximal and remote sensing technologies to try to identify soil salinity issues in orchard systems that are site-specific in the south of Portugal. So I cannot complain at this point, but I had to try this proposal several times until it got approved, because soil science projects related to soil science are never a priority, at least here in my country. But probably I see in the audience that we have with us a PhD student that I've been working with, Gabriel. I think he cannot cannot talk, but he's working on a project, a collaborative project between Netherlands, Wageningen, Lisbon, and I don't know who else, but he's studying the rice production systems in Guinea-Bissau in West Africa, and that are areas, the former mangrove areas that were converted to rice fields that are right near the sea, that are affected by soil salinity a lot, and they have been developing technologies for local populations to adapt and cope with this soil salinity issue. This is a very interesting project, and the example of a collaborative network that fits exactly what you were asking. But he cannot talk, unfortunately, to explain better this project and these studies.
Great. Hopefully during the next webinar, we can then.
Yes, you can invite him. Yes.
Exactly, and about funding opportunities. This also brings us to the end of this roundtable to move to the next part of the program, summarizing the main findings. We need some more collaboration in terms of policies, policy instruments, especially in terms of identification, monitoring, water frameworks, and also, common voice in the Mediterranean region as it comes to soil salinity. We also see that there are more and more funding opportunities for novel approaches, and that some of them are being granted just right now, people starting new projects, so very promising. And with this optimistic message, I will pass to Maria Koniuszkova to take next part of our webinar.
Yeah, so actually, thank you. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Jorge, and thanks to all the speakers of this webinar. I will try to, let's say, summarize and give some takeaway messages that arose from today's discussion. So actually, the area of salt-affected soils in the northern part of the Mediterranean region, and we could see from our webinar that we were considering mostly this part of the Mediterranean region. It is traditionally considered as to be quite minor. So this threat of salinity is not considered very acute in this part of the Mediterranean, especially relative to the global areas of salt-affected soils, and also comparing to the southern part of the Mediterranean, where this issue, let's say, is more widespread and more attention is paid to this problem. But still, we can see that this problem on salinization is exacerbated, increased in the region due to the increase in droughts and the shortage of water, and as well as the seawater intrusions, which is also somehow human-induced due to overexploitation of the aquifers in the coastal areas. And we could see it from the examples from Turkey and Greece that this is a growing issue in this northern part of the Mediterranean. Also, we from the discussions of today and the presentations, we can see that this issue is has very much in common in different countries of the regions So, which means that actually all the solutions that can be proposed and developed for the region can be quite well harmonized. And also, it seems that still this problem of soil salinization and solidification in the northern part of the Mediterranean seems to be overlooked, especially by the policymakers and the existing monitoring systems. It also can be due to the fact that the existing monitoring systems do not allow to adequately assess the spread of salt-affected soils and assess the severity of the problem. Following the recommendations that were proposed by different speakers, I would summarize them as following. That first, the soil and water salinity should be for sure measured in this northern part of the Mediterranean region, and the sampling and methodologies should be updated and adjusted to the specificity of salt-affected soils, which means that actually the depths of measuring should be increased up to 1 meter, because for these soils, due to the movement of salt, it's important to monitor the deeper layers of soil, and also it should be joined with the measurement of water salinity. As soon as soil and water in this case is very much related to each other, then apply the practices and facilitate the application of the practices which help to mitigate the effect of salinity and acidity, and which help to adapt to salinity and sodicity. Among them is the use of the crop soil and crops, desalinization of irrigation water, deep plowing and improved drainage system so that to improve the leaching of salts from the topsoil. One more recommendation is other recommendations are educate and train farmers on salinity management, increase the subsidies for salinity management, improve the compliance and fulfillment of regulations, which are adapted, adjusted, and take into account the specificity of salt-affected soils. It was also discussed that the shifting of farming systems to the let's say, hollow feed agriculture, or to the agriculture which is more adapted to different crops, is a big challenge still. So it is quite highly recommended, right, by the people who, let's say, the scientists. But still, it can be a good solution, but quite difficult to implement, and it's much to do. And as a maybe positive conclusion to the discussion, that it seems that the funding potential seems to be increasing as a response to a growing concern of soil salinization in the northern part of the Mediterranean and the whole Mediterranean. So we hope that also this webinar contribute to the improved financing of this topic in the region. So with this, I would like to finish my wrap up and give the floor to Jorge to close the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria, for your nice report of this very interesting webinar. That I want to congratulate to all the participants and speakers in the participants in the roundtable. But especially I want to give thanks to the coordinator of this working group that has been involved mainly in this presentation on the Mediterranean, Professor Victor Joao, and to the chair of the COST Action, that is our vice chair as well, that because this interesting webinar was mostly a fruit of their progresses in the project. So thank you very much, Victor, Kate, all the presenters, and as well all the attendants to the webinar. That because in this way you make us feel that our work is useful for in sake of the correct management of salt-affected soils. So thank you, all of you, and I hope to meet you again during the next meetings that we will have with occasion of the webinars. Next webinar will be on Tuesday, and we'll be dealing with a model that is called SolMed. Thank you very much. Congratulations to the participants, organizers, and the speakers of this successful and very interesting webinar. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.